We are live. Good evening to you. Good morning to me from halfway around the world. And good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you are in the chat. Allison, good evening. How are you doing today?
Evening, morning. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Doing good. I'm really excited about this. Um, Allison, when you first reached out to me, it's basically the funniest way, in a way, to reach out. A DM that's offering to hypnotize someone in VR. You're gonna pique my interest pretty quick. And I went right to your Twitter bio. Phantom Sense Touch Syndrome expert, hypnotherapist, VR consultant. Yeah, I think you're gonna get a DM back pretty damn quick. But I want to jump right into hypnotherapy. How does one get started down that path of just you know curiosity? That's interesting to me.
Well, about hypnotherapy, I actually first started out when I was still just first getting into VR. I saw Fia's video about Phantom Touch slash Phantom Sense, and there was this person called Amanu Guy. They are a real life hypnotist and also a virtual reality hypnotist. Do all these sorts of like crazy. Well, not really. I don't think crazy is the right word, but they do a lot of hypnotism inside and outside of VR. It's really interesting to see because hypnotism isn't what you see in the movies. It's all just bringing your mind to a sense of uh, really calm and relaxing sense and I guess mood. I'm not so sure about the word on that. Because fun fact, your mind actually goes into these stages of other relaxation or other focus, whatever you want to call it. It's called trance. It's whenever you're playing a video game really hardcore, or if you're really reading into a book, or if you're just enjoying the music. Every day you get small moments of trance here and now. And with hypnotism is basically just uh, an assisted way of trance where, yeah, I mean, people can do hypnotism on themselves. I do hypnotism one-on-one, very personal. I'm a new guy does group hypnotism, surprisingly. That's something I've never heard about until I looked much deeper into the rabbit hole of PSTS. But back to the topic of hypnotism. Yeah, that's basically what hypnotism is to my understanding, or at least what I can tell you.
For the
Some people definitely explain it better.
for being hypnotized, it's outside of VR. I know you said you have done some self hypnotism, but as far as what a general person like myself, before ever speaking with you and looking more into it, for what the general person thinks hypnotism is that an experience that you ever had? Like the show, going to somewhere, seeing people on stage do crazy things?
No, actually, I haven't been outside much these years, or this year, since COVID, quarantine, all that. I haven't seen much real life hypnotism. I've seen a lot of virtual hypnotism because all the real life hypnotism I've seen before diving deep into this rabbit hole was just like, the cliche clock swing around, making people, believing your lies, stuff like that. But no, that's not what hypnotism is.
Yeah, I remember I got taken back back when I used to live in Virginia. They took us one time to the show. It was a comedy show. It was supposed to be stand-up comedians, and there ended up being a hypnotist comedian. None of my friends were brought on stage, which was a little bit of a bummer. I did want one of them to come so I could probe endlessly after it, but it didn't happen. They brought up a different group. Um, and I saw a grown man crawling and barking like a dog on stage. I don't know if that was a setup, but it's never been out of my mind. I can see you want to say something on that.
Oh yeah, that type of hypnotism, those ones that you see on stage and live performances, those are like up 1% of people that can be hypnotized to do things like that. I don't do any of that, and I haven't seen them personally. That's part of hypnotism, but it's not really like fully what it is, to my understanding.
Yeah, that was
I'm pretty sure.
that was kind of the to me it seemed I don't know, it's hard for me to mentally wrap my brain around how that all happened because I can't explain it. Someone could even explain it to me exactly how it's happening and I still wouldn't understand how it happened. So it was one hell of an experience for me, but let's take your background of getting into hypnotherapy. Where was that transitional point where you saw the opportunity to try something with it in virtual reality?
I first started on a friend back in the day when I first started going in VR chat. That was when I hit about 50 hours on Steam VR, as already had about 200, maybe 300 hours on Quest,
Hmm.
since I was really, really into native Quest back then. Now I'm on PC VR, but I started on a friend, and it was just kind of like, just kind of like a joke. Let me try this weird wacky thing I found in YouTube. And then I slowly and slowly dove deeper into the rabbit hole, and I thought, oh, this might be actually something that I could benefit from, and other people could benefit from learning this information that not many people know. And that's when I started diving deeper and deeper, learning new techniques from uh, real life doctors and real life experts on the matter. I am definitely just a quick disclaimer. I am not an expert on the topic of hypnotism. I'm merely someone that can do hypnotism on people and myself. My technique may differ, definitely differs from one person to another, and by no means am I actually qualified to do any of this. I am just a guy who's uh, dove deep into the rabbit hole enough that I am now able to do this because hypnotism can be done by anyone as long as you learn the right techniques and the right methods to bring someone to that deep state of mind. It's easier to in VR as VR is very immersive and messes with your brain a lot.
Can
But
you
that's
walk
where I started.
Can you walk me down kind of some of those first steps? We'll do it in the VR. We'll keep it inside the VR world because I'm sure it's a little different IRL. But what are some of these steps to get people in that right state of mind? Because I'm sure you get a lot of people who you reach out to who may be skeptical of the whole thing. So I'm sure you're breaking down a lot of barriers just to get them to participate, and then you get them in there, and you've got to change their mindset completely. If I'm thinking about that right.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's this term I like to use that. Uh, have you ever watched The Matrix, Eric?
Oh, of course, of course.
So you know how they say you can't explain the Matrix, you just have to experience it for yourself.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much what hypnotism is. Might seem wild to others, it might seem really fake, but everything or most things you see, maybe not the no fully grown 40-year-old male on stage barking. Maybe I'm not so sure if that's actually real or not. But
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that
yeah.
actually would help someone's case. Like, I don't know if me seeing that actually made me a believer or more of a skeptic because it's one of those things. If you see something that's so outrageous, you almost become sometimes more of a disbeliever. Where if I got bits and pieces of something that I could tangibly see, small baby steps, I start buying into a little more. The dog barking honestly made me even more of a skeptic than I was before I went in there, which is why I'm pretty excited to join you hopefully soon in VR chat. Walk me through this VR chat kind of world experiment so I understand a little bit more about what you're doing.
Oh, do you want me to just explain how I do it?
Well, not you don't
Or
need to
my
give me
technique
step by
maybe?
step, but walk me through this VR chat world. What did you build to get people in to try something like this? What are people walking into?
Well, first of all, I generally don't use, well, obviously I don't use something like a public world,
Hmm.
very bright world, as those can distract a lot of people and make them lose focus a lot. But actually, sometimes it makes them more immersed, but that's in rare cases usually. First, I take my, can I call them patients? I'm not sure if that's the right word.
Wait, say that again?
Can I call them patients?
Yeah,
I'm
call
not
them
sure if that's the right
patients.
word or not. Yeah, I'll call them
Your
patients. Like
test subjects, patients, something like that.
as subjects, guinea pigs, lab rats.
Exactly.
Yeah, I take my patients to a dark world, and that's when I start asking some questions like, "Do you have any mental troubles?" So that's depression or ADHD, because those can definitely impact someone's perception and view of hypnotism and fan sense sometimes.
Hmm.
I don't have it to a T yet, so I'm not entirely sure how it affects, but as someone who has ADHD, I can definitely say that I lose focus and zone out way. way more times than a normal person would inside of VR.
Absolutely.
Just trying to make sure that ask for their how much time have you spent in VR chat? Have you had any experience with this before? Uh, are you still skeptical of hypnotism and FamSense and all 9 yards? I actually have a list inside my Discord server. I don't think I'm allowed to share that list right now, but you'll definitely see if I get the opportunity to hypnotize you uh, soon-ish.
Oh, I'm very excited to try it. What you mentioned like the 1% club of the people who might be um able to be hypnotized to the degree of which we see on television, movies, things like that. For the rest of us, people that you're inviting in, because I saw a recent tweet that you brought someone in, had another success story that which was great to see. What makes the people that you're choosing, what makes one better possibly than the other? What mindset does someone have to be in where this will be the better experience, or one where you'll have to pull them more into that flow state, trance like state? Is there some identifier, something that someone's experienced that will open them up to make this a little bit more easier to hypnotize them?
Uh, hmm. Well, a more optimistic and calm person definitely has a better chance of actually being successful at that, and also someone that spent a considerable amount of time in VR chat. That's or in VR in general, actually, as they will become more and more immersed as the session goes on.
Okay.
People that can definitely keep their focus on and can follow simple instructions, such as like closing your eyes, listen to my voice, stuff like that. I'm yeah, people who can definitely immerse themselves more inside VR, especially people who have very comfortable or ideal VR setups. So that's basically right now Valve Index or an HP Reverb G2, knuckle
Sure.
controllers, full body tracking. Then the base stations in autumn places where they can track you very accurately. As full body tracking is actually a quite a big factor into FamSense. I've tried to put PSTS inside people who don't have FPT. It works, but to a degree where it doesn't work under the waist, as they can't virtually see those limbs inside VR chat, so they can't visualize it and trick their brains into thinking, "Oh, these are my limbs. I'm gonna start feeling things down there." No, they
Mm,
can't do that. They can only do that on their arms, on their faces, on their chest. Uh, some people definitely can because to most people, FamSense or PSTS by disambiguation is a very linear thing. But in reality, no, it's a spectrum. So, for example, if you have a cold, that can range from, just an everyday lie in bed, wait for the sickness to pass by, get some Benadryl, get your energy up, to a week or a month inside the ER and up to the ICU.
mm-hmm.
It's definitely like that because many people have different, uh, how do you say it? Different levels of found sense. I'm more of in the upper higher middle stage where I can feel most things. I can definitely feel most of the symptoms that's been told to me by my patients and such. And uh, as Phantom Sense being a spectrum, there are still people that are, they may have been hypnotized, they may have already tried most of the techniques given to them, but their Phantom Sense is still very faint, or they still can't feel much of the senses that's been known to work on people that do have Phantom Sense and do have experience in them. And then there's people where, oh, I just got Phantom Sense. Now I can feel basically everything known to man that's been known to feel to people who have
Oh,
Phantom Sense. It's
that
a
must
really
be
wild
trippy.
spectrum, as yeah, it's really trippy because I've met people who sparked their Phantom Sense in the public world once,
Mm.
and then they got Phantom Pain. So they started like collapsing and panicking and such. On why is this happening to me? What am I feeling? Why is it so strong?
Oh
A
my
very
God.
scary moment for those people, and I
That's
can
yes.
understand that. So that's why we have to take these precautions, just so that we can make sure they have full control over their sense and their bodies inside the virtual atmosphere.
That's
And I may
absolutely
have gotten
insane.
into a bit of a tangent there.
No, no, you bring up a lot of great points, and I wanted to get into a definition of something shortly. But one of the good points I think you brought up that makes sense. I don't think about it often, but it makes sense. Was the longer someone's in VR, the more easily their brain is going to get immersed, along with body tracking being so important. Like you are now the second person, and when I say second person, I don't just mean second person on a stream. In reality, you are the second. This might be the wrong term, but like virtual. Person that I've spoken
Virtual
with,
body, yeah.
virtual body I've spoken with. Joshua
Hmm.
Corvinus was the first. At first, with Joshua, it was slightly off-putting. I can't read facial cues. I want to make everyone comfortable. It's harder to know the breaks and pauses and when to interrupt because I don't have those body cues that I normally would have. However, 30 minutes in with Joshua, those body cues actually started becoming apparent. I could pick them up on his virtual avatar by different mannerisms, and by the end of the conversation, uh, that immersion had hit fully. I'm talking with Joshua. I wasn't talking with his avatar anymore. That disconnect finally broke, and yours that happens even quicker because I'm getting more and more used to it. So that more time in virtual reality, understanding finger tracking, all that on how it just adds to that immersion, that makes complete sense. We went down the tangent of phantom sense syndrome or phantom sense touch. I don't want to mispronounce it, but we may have glossed over what that is to people who are completely unaware. Can we get a little more into the definition of what it is so we build that baseline for this discussion?
Oh yeah, totally, for sure. So there is a difference between. Oh, actually, you know what? I should probably get into what Phantom Sense is because most people watching this probably don't know.
Yes, yes.
So, Phantom Sense, by definition, is a VR phenomena which tricks your brain into thinking that you're feeling something in VR, as you are more deeply and deeply immersed into thinking that this is my virtual body, these are my virtual hands, and it fills that gap of reality and VR that gives you a sense of touch in almost every single part of your body. And there is a difference between Phantom Sense and Phantom Touch. So, Phantom Sense is the feeling where you are being touched by other players, by objects, by avatars, and so on and so forth. Phantom touch, on the other hand, is when you are the one touching people or touching objects or whatever. And it's usually generally classified as phantom sense dash touch syndrome, PSTS, usually like in the streets called PSS because that's way easier to say, some people. And there's also different terms for phantom sense. So there's just phantom sense, sense, brain damage, brain stupid. There's a lot of slang. I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, that's PSTS.
What are some of the things that they'll be able to experience? I know you already went over pain. You brought that up. You mentioned hot and cold. What other things have you been able to help people experience?
The three main things that most people can or will experience if they're still first time phantom sense either. They're the most common ones that I've heard was things like a fuzziness in their hands or like a tingling sensation, a numbness. So that's pins and needles when your arm goes to sleep. I'm not sure if that's a real term,
Yeah, no,
but
I know what
you
you're
know what I
saying there.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
then there's temperature, density, electricity, sensitivity, differentiation between softness, hardness, liquid, and solid.
oh
Then, of course,
wow.
there's pain, which is an entirely different topic. That's phantom pain syndrome, which is way more wild than phantom sense.
Yeah. Can we jump into Phantom Pain? Because that I'm kind of mulling like I'm listening to you, but I'm actually mulling over that quick anecdote you brought up about that person who was mildly freaking out when they experienced phantom pain unexpectedly, I'm assuming. What's that like for you? That's gotta be I mean, if you put someone in that state of mind, there's a little bit of responsibility now on your part to walk them through that. Um, what do you do in that situation to get someone through an experience like that? Because it's similar to the dog barking on or the person barking. If I'm a bystander in that room, I'm very skeptical. If I'm the participant and I actually feel that with my mindset knowing I was going to be skeptical, I'd probably having a mild freak out. How do you walk people through this? How do you get them to understand that this is a maybe a value add rather than something to be scared of?
Well, first of all, in situations like that, I haven't come across many of them because I usually don't spend much time in public roads that much anymore unless I'm trying to hunt down people who have these very unique syndromes or senses that not many people have data on. If someone does experience that, like 1% feeling of what the hell is happening to me? Why am I feeling this? I usually try and talk to them in a very calm manner, take them back to a very non-secluded room, or maybe even add them as a friend and then put them into a private room, just so that I can explain to them what they're feeling, why they're feeling this, and uh, explain to them exactly what PSTS or phantom pain is, because phantom pain is very scary. At most times it's very painful. I
Hmm.
mean, of course, it's phantom pain. It has to be painful. There's reports of people actually, you know, collapsing or passing out, and even sometimes due to excruciating pain, coughing up blood due to being shot at or being punched or being slapped, being kicked in the face,
Holy crap.
that sort of thing.
That's
Yeah, it's
absolutely,
very wild.
yeah, that is wild. I don't know if that happened to me if I put the headset back on for quite a while. That's that's terrifying. Has anyone what's your thoughts on adding your haptics that are out there, accessories that are out there, like a B haptics vest? Does that make something like this easier, or does it make it harder because maybe that's a little extra stimuli that pulls them out of any trance state or flow state you could put them in? Have you tried something with these accessories?
Well, I have personally in my VR tech career, I've never seen someone with a haptic suit before, surprisingly. But
Well,
um, I'm not quite sure on that, but I've tried a haptic vest before. It definitely feels very weird when you're still getting used to it. Uh, as haptic vests are vibrations, they're not really much of a sense in that fact. It's more like a shock factor
mhm.
in a way, as in your controllers, you're feeling these like vibrations that you're expected to feel. Oh, there's my gun. Oops. That you're expected to feel when you're touching objects and such. As you're in an immersive world, an immersive story. When you're gonna pick up a gun or an item, your controller is gonna vibrate. And oh, I'm holding this. I have this sense of something. I'm holding something. My controller has to be vibrating. But as you dive deeper and deeper into VR, you'll start to actually be, very conscious of that vibration. So for someone who is very immersed inside VR, a haptic vest or haptic suit may be very uh, might make them feel even more immersed, but to some people that will actually make them feel less immersed, as these vibrations can distract them from trying to focus on getting that phantom sense back and running, as vibrations are very different to what phantom sense is.
Absolutely. Can you walk me through? I want to harp on your experience a little bit before moving on to something that I've been thinking about with Phantom Sense. For you and me, so walk me through when you and I finally link up. Um, what would I expect? How do you bring me into that flow state that I need to be in, and what would you like me to experience? I'd be curious about that. Or how would you make me experience the hot and cold, or how do you make someone experience um, liquid versus solid feelings, things like that?
Hmm. Well, first of all, Eric, I don't think that I can control what you feel off the bat. That will
Hmm.
take a bit more, tricking your brain into feeling these sensations. As when I do phantom hypnosis, what? VR hypnotherapist, I can't speak English today. Wow. VR hypnosis. I generally just do the touch and sensor thing. That's just like the most basic level of it, as I'm trying to just trick the brain into thinking, oh wow, whoops, whoa, this hand is gliding across my chest. I'm touching other people's avatars, and I'm gonna get that sense of tingling feeling inside my arms. These other senses are definitely a dice roll, as I'm not so sure as to what you're gonna get unless I'm specifically guiding you to feel those sort of things. So,
Okay.
for example, if a patient wants to feel, like water or stuff like that, I'm gonna take them to a fountain or a river inside virtual reality. And then I'm gonna slowly and slowly guide them through the meditation slash hypnosis process once again. But this time, I'm gonna make them focus instead of me touching them or them touching objects. I'm gonna make them focus on that one sense, that one sensation. As the thing I've learned from using firearms and all sorts of that sort of, this is a little bit off topic, is that as fundamentals, isolation is one of the most important tools at developing a skill, which is basically saying that I can't learn all of this at once. I have to focus on one thing before I can improve and move on to the next thing that I want to improve on. So back in the day when I was still trying to figure out how I can shoot better with a pistol, I would uh, I would grab my pistol. I would just slowly aim it back and forth between my dominant eye and back to my chest, eye, chest, aiming down, and slowly getting faster and faster. And if I start to deviate a little bit, I get slower and then start to go faster again and again. It's basically the same thing with hypnosis, as I want to make these people feel what they want to feel. And I want to start doing that slowly. And then I'm gonna make them exposed to more, drastic changes. As let's go back to that water thing or
Hmm.
uh, flow thing. I'm gonna make them go into a fountain first, and then maybe a river, and then maybe the waterfall, and then maybe an ocean, just to get them that sense of, oh wow, there's water around me. I'm gonna start touching this, and eventually I'm gonna trick my brain into thinking that, oh, I'm actually touching water. I should probably start to feel this, as I've already remembered what water feels like. I'm gonna start to touch this and continue to remember that sense that, oh, I've already known what this feels like. I should probably put that back into my brain, as now I'm in a different reality, but I am still in the same physical body, just with a different vision, with different visual stimuli. So that's basically how I develop more senses or stimuli, no, not
Yeah,
stimuli,
I like
sensations.
I like the way that you put all that. I think it's more of a tangible way for someone to rationalize why this could work. Like it kind of bring. I don't know if this is it. You can maybe I'm thinking this too much, but like I was playing Jet Island one day, um, and in the mix of the high speed and high heights that I was at, I had a moment of pause on the top of a very high point level, where I had vertigo, so I almost fell backwards. But what I did feel when I leveled, I swear to God, I had no fan on in this room, no AC was going. I swear to God, I felt like by my legs a little breeze. Um, I don't know if I was just imagining that. Well, I obviously was imagining it, but I definitely registered a breeze on my legs, which um, really took me out of the game for a second because I was so put back that I just felt a breeze. There's no one here. There's no fan. There's no AC. It felt real to me. What excites me most about what you're telling me all is not just how it can impact one experience of trying this, not just how it could be used inside, say, VR chat, um, but I'm thinking, how could this be used to, in virtual reality to help people? Do you think this is something that would be used, for different research purposes or any other case uses other than gaming for virtual reality? Maybe for therapy or something like that?
Oh, well, first of all, there's the social aspect of, like people right now are lonely. They're in quarantine, they're in lockdown, they can't go out, they can't meet their friends. So a lot of us resort to VR, don't we?
Yes.
And most of us don't feel a sense of presence, that these people are just avatars, they're not actually here. Or I'm touching this guy, but I don't think I'm feeling anything. Definitely help with coping with this quarantine and loneliness factor, as you're not going to see much socialization outside, well, unless you're American, of course, and you're not going to touch a lot of people or get to socialize a lot, as quarantine again. But this could help, could definitely help with that, like, sense of presence of feeling that, my God, I'm actually in this world. There's people here. I can talk to them. They're all around from around the globe. Especially in the club scene, actually, if you've seen Stress's video on it,
Yes.
there's a lot of people that have phantom sense in the club scene, and they can definitely feel this sort of like sense of presence and sense of like, they're, oh wow, I'm in a club, let's have some fun. That's on the social side, but on the therapy side, however, as a person that struggled with gender dysphoria and such for a few years back then. I'm good now, don't worry. But I used to struggle with that, and I think having people in this virtual landscape, as in VR, you can be you can be whoever you want, whatever you want to look like, you can be that. If you make your own avatar, or if you commission someone to make an avatar that you made in that you want in your own image, that will definitely help with cases of like dysphoria, like because I talk with a lot of trans people, I talk with a lot of LGBT people. As being one myself, I'm very gender fluid. I change the avatars a lot. This is my main one. As it's a bit androgynous, but you can basically tell I'm still a girl. But Phantom Sense can definitely help with dysphoria, as Phantom Sense, people can feel limbs and other things that they wouldn't normally feel if they were if they were in their own still assigned gender at birth body. So, for example, if I'm a male, I can't feel what a female feels if I'm running down their chest or whatever like that. I don't want to get into that much, but you got the idea. People can
Hmm.
feel things that they wouldn't normally could feel inside virtual reality. And that extends to things like horns and tails and all that sort of thing. As
Dang,
you can
ears, all
basic
that. That's
you can
awesome.
yeah, ears, all that, yeah. There's this term that I throw around a lot, neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to neuroplasticity means it's the brain's ability to adapt and develop these senses, or uh, these senses of sight, senses of touch, and stuff like that, as it gets more and more immersive. Because what Phantom Sense and hypnotism is that you're basically just tricking your brain into thinking that you're feeling these sensations when you're not. As back to neuroplasticity, there was this experiment conducted back in the day. I don't remember off the bat of my mind who did it, what year it was. It was called the upside down glasses experiment. This one famous doctor put on this pair of glasses that made his entire vision upside down. And then for a few days, he was like nauseous. He couldn't work on anything. He couldn't, think straight, as he still had these goggles on, and his whole world is still upside down. And he couldn't have that sense of hand-eye coordination, as when you're upside down, or when you're looking upside down, because it's basically in a mirror.
Hmm.
Your right hand becomes your left hand becomes your right, and then everything else is upside down. Eventually, after about a week, or in other words 8 days or so, started to develop this vision. His vision started to become right side up instead of upside down, and he could more properly focus on work, as now he could coordinate his hands to his eyes and to his brain. That he can, his brain has adapted to this uh, circumstance of everything being upside down. You can't see what you saw before, but the brain is so amazing. And uh, sorry, I forgot the term, but we've come so far that our brains can now adapt to things and change the way that we think. Because neuroplasticity basically means the ability for the brain to modify itself, to rewire itself in real time, to adapt to circumstances that we normally couldn't have felt before. And I
Yeah.
think that's a very big part of why Phantom Sense works.
I was trying to do a little bit of pre-work last night in anticipation of joining because Allison, I'm completely bought in. And when I say bought in, I'm always honest. I'm bought into the concept. I'm bought into wanting to try it. I, of course, have my hesitations and skepticism, but lately I've been you and I spoke about a pre-stream. Been diving down the rabbit hole, not just in VR chat, but really putting myself out there for experiences that typically I would say no to, whether that was out of anxiety, just not wanting to try it, whether that was just out of my own conceptions of not thinking I would enjoy it. But lately I've been putting myself out there. And last night I was playing VR chat. I had every intention of having some fun and socializing, but instead I kind of was looking in a mirror when I logged in because my avatar was not what I had chosen. It was based off an experience I had tried a little while back, Respite VR, and I decided that the avatars that I was using, I didn't feel them. I liked the character I was at, but I didn't embody that avatar. Excuse me one sec. Mute that mic while I cough it out. Um, I did not embody that avatar that I was in. So I spent a good 2 hours last night just roaming and trying to find an avatar that I connected with more. And while I still think there's a lot of work to be done in finding that one, by the end of the night when I had the one I had, when I was looking in the mirror, I felt happier. Um, I look in the mirror, I moved my arms and legs, I just looked at the mannerisms of the avatar. I felt happier, I felt more connected, and I feel like now in a social situation in VR chat, having that avatar, I myself think I'll have less anxiety talking with people because that is something I do have problems with in VR chat. I don't know why, don't have that in real life, but in VR chat, I think the avatar matters quite a bit, which I think is going to a lot of what you were bringing up about embodiments and things like that.
Yeah, in VR, there's definitely these moments where uh, your real life feelings can definitely be turned upside down to VR chat or right side up because me in real life I used to be a very shy, a very closed in type of person. Wouldn't really talk to anyone unless spoken to. But here I am in VR chat. I talk to people more confidently than I ever could before. I embraced my body as this is what I want to look like, or this is what I'm comfortable with looking like, and comfortable with what people are seeing me in. As FamSense has this thing that I like to call body to avatar ownership. Some of the most integral parts in having complete control and actually feeling sensations inside your body. Because in a lot of cases, FamSense doesn't work because your avatar doesn't match what you want to look like. You're not comfortable with that image of you being in a e-boy avatar because you don't want to look like an e-boy. So you switch avatars, you try to find the one that you like, and then you start feeling happier as time goes on because you feel like that this is what I want to become. This is what I want to look like, and this is what I want people to see me as. As this is the avatar I am in the metaverse. I like what I look because not everyone resonates with a single avatar. People
Agreed.
resonate with multiple ones. Some people resonate with no avatar at all, which is a big problem. But having that sense of happiness where you can feel comfortable in that avatar and be very confident in talking to people with that one specific avatar with that multiple avatars they use on a daily basis, that can definitely help with people trying to develop this syndrome. As like I said before, people who aren't in avatars who they what they don't want to look like. For example, I don't personally don't want to look like a like a very uh masculine avatar. I don't want abs or anything of the sort. I just want to look very casual, very tactic cute, if you will, and very, very purple, very cute.
I
That's
think
what I want to look like, so that's what I use.
my question might have already been answered by you, and you might have said it in different ways, but I really would like to ask because I think I have a lot of respect for you, especially coming on the stream and some of the things you're saying. You're very
Well,
open
thank
with
you.
gender fluidity, very open to people trying new things. So it's a huge load of respect. I speak like my inner circle that I speak to on Twitter, Discord, are not people who are shy, or at least don't come off that way. If they are shy in real life, they hide it very well. But they are people who seem very social, very extroverted. However, all of us a lot of times meet up in VR chat together because when it comes to that, we are not extroverted. We all clam up. We all get social anxiety. And I see people in the chat who seem to have the same problems in VR chat. And yes, picking the right avatar might have a lot of play in that. But for someone like you who has so much time in VR chat, who I think right now has the right mindset to help people through something like that, it's a little off topic, but do you have any tips for people to reduce that social anxiety in VR chat so they can get better immersed and get closer to experiences that you kind of talk about?
Yeah, first of all, definitely find an avatar that really resonate with, like what I said before. Uh, Avatar that you want to look like equals more happiness than an avatar that you don't want to look like. Second of all, if you're not comfortable with these crowded places, start small. Start in these small groups. I usually I don't recommend or advise against mirror dwelling, but
Mm,
as a past mirror dweller myself, it's definitely helped in opening up and actually trying to talk to people. Because in large groups, like say if you were in the pug world, in a pug instance, and you don't know anyone, and you don't find any topics that people are conversing about that are interesting to you, you'll struggle having a good time and struggle trying to bring up a conversation and share your interests and such with people. I've definitely been there before, more times often than not. And I feel like people need to start, being more confident in talking to other people who have no interest or have no common interests in you. And I get that that's very hard to do, but to start socializing in this game, you have to find the right people. So like what I said before with isolating fundamentals. Start small, start with a small group, even start with a friend group, and you can squad up with them, go into these nights where just hang out in VR chat and public worlds. Stop going to private worlds and start opening up to interesting people in worlds that you've never been in or worlds that you're familiar with and go to often. But starting small and then working your way up slowly and slowly until you're comfortable into a very big group. Because I myself still struggle with these groups,
mm.
especially if I'm joining, say, a Friends Plus world where I only know one person, and then
Yes.
this person's surrounded by like 15 other friends that I do not know. Will
It can,
definitely, make me very anxious and such.
yeah, it can get pretty crazy in there pretty quick if you're uncomfortable with groups, uncomfortable with meeting new people. Um, I'm getting better. But yeah, being with a friends group and also picking worlds that just seem kind of interesting. Like if I have to go somewhere that I'm not familiar with the world and or just have no interest in it at all, you're on a guard. Like I come in with a guard up, and certain worlds will break that guard immediately. So it's something I'm working on. Last night I did have fun with who I met, but it's going to be a constant battle to learn. Going back to the topic, what's your future plans? As more people get into VR, as more people become more immersed, as the hardware becomes better, so people can feel themselves quicker than they can now. What would you like to do to get people more bought into stuff like this?
Well, first of all, you already know that I am the director of operations of the
Hmm.
research organization called VRSEC, Virtual Reality Private Security Group. What I want is for more people to be informed and have knowledge about these topics, as people in the metaverse still have very little to only very basic understanding of things like FAMSense and stuff like that. And people tend to, not have much of a because you know how people still have this view that VR is still just 3D off cardboard or mobile VR. That's
Yes.
what a lot of people still think in the metaverse about things like FAMSense. They just think, oh, this guy feels this. Oh, that's it. There's nothing more to it. No, that's what I'm trying to build here. I'm trying to build a group that informs people regularly about these topics and gather data so that people can have more of an understanding and eventually everybody will have this as a common knowledge inside the VR community. As VR community is still very skeptical in researching topics like this. However,
Hmm.
I am not, and that's why I started this whole Versec thing, just to inform people and build this kind of like trust with the VR community, so that we can further research stuff like this, so that we can erase that image of things like FAMSense just being this whole dropout thing that you're not gonna look much into. Same as well, what the whole VR community is trying to do still with people's perception of VR, with are still quote unquote being cardboard and 3D off.
I
That's what I'm
think
just trying to do.
everyone has quite a bit of respect for what you're doing. It's going to take, like you said,
Mhm.
it's not developers are doing their best to figure out just how to make experiences. They are not actively trying to convince people why they should use it, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that. They have an enormous task. So it's going to be people like you and others who are building those communities that are helping people understand why this is important and why everything matters. So you're doing an insanely epic service. One
Thank you.
tangent. this is a big tangent here, but I want your opinions on it, especially someone specific to VR chat. So I know VR chat just got, what was it, like 80 million in round D funding,
Yeah,
which is a,
$80 million in funding. That
yeah,
was really nice.
it's an insane amount of money. I specifically was looking at, I didn't go deep down the rabbit hole what they're funding specifically, but they did put a quick 2 sentence blurb out. The creator economy is something that I'd like to see more of, especially in VR chat. With the creator economy and all the money they're putting in, will most likely also bring advertisements and more IRL beings into VR
Or
chat.
yikes, ads.
I don't want to get it. I'm not going to force you to get into the ad debate, and I like to get a little on the gray area of it. But when it comes to VR chat, the funding they're putting in, the creator economy, and likely they've already been bringing ads in with the VR markets that they do every now and then. How does it feel to you personally about ads specific to VR chat? Because I think that's a unique um, game where they may be more conducive to it rather than throwing it into a standard first-person shooter game. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, my thoughts on VR ads is just I don't care, but in a game like VR Chat, I think it can actually make things more immersive because in worlds like the Great Pug or Black Cat, you have this like board where you first spawn, and then you got all these sorts of like metaverse events. So that's like LPD and concerts and clubs and raves and stuff like that when you first spawn in. And that's just like I think that's just the first stage of these advertisements being implemented in VR chat. Billboard ads I can definitely see as there's this one world called Sin City. JC visits it a lot, and I've been there. I really like the world. How they did the ads is just if you've ever been to Times Square, you know there's a buttload amount of ads
Yes.
there.
Hmm.
You're in an apartment, and then you're looking through these windows, and then there's just mounds of ads plastered across the skyscrapers and buildings. And for someone like me, I think that makes the world more immersive because you're advertising these things that only exist in the metaverse or in the virtual landscape as you're not advertising hardware or software or much like that. I mean, VRChat Plus is technically a DLC, and
Hmm.
that might be a bit of a problem. But for something like a club or play group such as the LPD, which is really doing the RP side of VRChat justice, mind you. I feel like it will be definitely more immersive and have much more of an opportunity to get these places going. Because how I see it fit is that I don't know if this already exists or not, or if it's just like a Patreon only thing. But I'm pretty sure that you can pay these avatar creators, sorry, world creators, as they update these worlds fairly regularly for like seasons and events and stuff like that. I think you can pay someone or the world creator themselves to post like this small sticker ad, like what you see in what I mentioned before,
Hmm.
like the Great Pug and the Black Cat, where you have this board and then you have these like advertisements. I think when VR Chat grows bigger, or maybe we already have it, I'm not so sure. You can plaster these ads all across these buildings and skyscrapers as billboard ads. And not many people will care or notice because, for one, that makes it more immersive, and two, you're directly profiting off of these, requests to make, oh, I want my community to grow, so I'm going to plaster this one ad inside this billboard, and hopefully people will see
Hmm.
because ads still definitely have a place in VR. No ads is definitely better, but ads like this, which are very heavy on the metaverse and on the virtual side, to make you more immersed, it will definitely be a help to small world creators, fairly unknown ones, just
Hmm.
so that they can get their world out there and uh, especially the small communities, to get their community out there as well.
Yeah, when I saw that article, my mind actually went a little differently in the types of ads I was hoping to see, in the sense of the ads that they're currently proposing and that have currently caused debate. It's focused on how does it pay the developer. VR chat developers is everybody. It's not only the people who are creating VR chat, but it's the individual people who have created the VR chat experiences. The developers are actually users in this case. And I see a lot of opportunities where there's unique ad experiences. What if Um, a VR chat world creator could get sponsored by G subs and paid to create G sub assets that put all around the world for people to interact with and have fun with. Um, that could be a paid ad sponsorship, but it isn't a billboard. It isn't a pop up ad. It's assets in the world that they get to interact with, play around. Everyone can drink Red Bulls if they want to put those and get sponsored by Red Bull. There's a lot of opportunities where creators now in VR chat may have the opportunity to actually make a living rather than working hard to get avatars stolen too easily, because art is much more easier to steal. But a brand deal that they can make part of the world, well, that's pretty unique, and I think that's pretty empowering to the developer who is the end user as well in VR chat. That's just where my mind went when I saw that. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I see. I mean, in my eyes, the only ads I want to see are ads in free games such as VR Chat or Echo Arena. Because in Echo, you have these screens inside the lobby or whenever you score a goal. And maybe because there's this thing called VRML, VR Master League. I don't know if you've heard of it, which is basically just the esports of VR.
Hmm.
Uh, the VRML definitely gets a lot of sponsorships from things like B Haptics or uh, ProTube as people use stocks. I think advertisements will definitely have a place inside the esport market as these sponsors need something to put their sponsor to or their brand to put on so that people will take notice and, oh, this looks cool, I might buy this because this one pro player uses this and stuff like that. I feel like that definitely has a place, but in paid VR games and especially single player ones and stuff like Beat Saber, they, in my opinion, they don't have a place at all. In something like a multiplayer world or a very competitive shooter or a just a straight down VR esports such as Echo, it might definitely have its place, but again, that's just my opinion. Please don't take that. Well, take that as any way you will.
It's a subject matter. There's no winning on it. You know that.
Yeah, there's
I,
there's very
I,
much no winning it.
yeah, and I'm not gonna. We won't spend too much more time on it because it has been the only talk for the past week and a half. Um, Seeing the
Yeah,
time right
true.
now, I do want to not end the stream yet, but I want to end it on the final topics of your choosing. If we've missed anything that you've been wanting to go over, and I'm gonna get that link that you just sent to me into the chat as well. So I'm gonna give you the floor for a second
Yeah.
while I get that sent out. If there's any top to your heart that we haven't hit yet.
Yeah, well, first of all, for anyone who's reading this inside the chat, Eric will post a link to the Versec Discord where you'll find a lot of more info on Phantom Sense. You can request a role to view every single thing that we're working on, and you can even be hypnotized yourself if we get the opportunity to. There's also a Google Forms link that I'm going to send to you real quick, Eric,
Sure.
that we're going to get more data. We're hopefully trying to get more data on FamSense. The only data we have right now is just he said this, she said this, not very solid data, as in like statistics with numbers and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get more solid data out there. So I'm just gonna post this forms link in your DMs as well, along with the Discord link real quick. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
absolutely. More than happy to send that out for you. I think what you're doing, like we've been talking about, it's it's something that I made this comparison a few times online, but like anything in VR right now, whether it's what you're doing, whether it's someone like Respite VR doing theatrical plays, anyone doing something right now is doing like the penny stock version. It's not to say, it's not to devalue it to a penny. It's to say it is so early that the people who are doing this right now are doing quite a bit of work for possibly low return right now. And I don't mean just monetarily. I mean reception, knowledge, info, but what you're doing now will compound dramatically over the next 5 to 10 years. And you're really pioneering a lot of great information for people to use and for you to have down the road as well. So I'm going to flip this back to you while I send this link out that you just sent me.
Thank you for that. Actually, the first thing that we haven't discussed is, have you ever heard of the rubber hand experiment that you might have seen on TV or medical dramas?
Is that I might be wrong here, is that the one where they basically put you in a seat, have both your arms out? They'll put like a curtain usually over one so you can't see your arm. And then when they enact things on this fake arm, you would basically feel it more or less.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So how they do it is that you have this rubber arm, fake arm, whatever, on your left side or your right side, whichever one your dominant is. They have this like cardboard or wooden panel so that you can't see your real arm that's over on the further left hand side or further right hand side of your actual of your vision. So and then they put like a curtain over it. So your brain thinks that your arm is your fake arm, which it isn't. And they start to touch and feel their way throughout the arms, just trying to trick your brain into thinking that, oh, I can't see my arm, but there's this rubber arm in front of me. I am gonna take that as interpretation that this is what I need to feel because someone else is touching my arm. And I can still feel my arm, but I can only see the rubber arm. So the brain slowly and slowly tricks yourself into thinking that, oh, this is my arm, but I can't see my real arm. So I'm just gonna take what visual input I have and take that as visual stimuli inside my brain. And at the end of the experiment, once they've done the brushing thing for a few minutes, they'll start to talk and talk, partly hypnosis per se, as they get the subject into a more calm manner. And then once they're nearing the end of it, they're gonna pull out a freaking hammer and then suddenly smash the rubber arm. And then the subject will actually, 10 out of 10 times, or most of the time, flinch and pull back on the real arm, like, whoa, 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 what the hell? Why did that hurt? What did you do to me? Did you spank my real arm? What the hell did you do? But no, they will feel a sense of discomfort or a sense of tingling or whatever sensation that they may feel. I don't have the correct lab reports or whatever for that, but it's very similar to Phantom Sense, as Phantom Pain is also a presence has its presence in real life because there's this thing called phantom limb syndrome where
Yep.
amputees can still feel uh, their arm and sometimes even pain in their arm or discomfort even though it isn't there. So what they the trick to trying to reduce that is they put their arm onto a desk or something like that, and then they put a mirror onto their real arm.
Mm.
Or actually, they put their real arm on the desk, and then they put a mirror that so that they can't see their their arm that's already been amputated.
Yes.
And the brain starts to rewire itself into thinking that I can't see my real arm, so I'm gonna take this mirror version of my fake arm that I think is my real arm. I'm gonna start to think that, oh my god, my hand is back. Oh my god, I can start feeling things here. Stuff like that, which really helps them to cope with that sense of not having an arm, basically.
Yeah. No.
But
Wow.
that sense of discomfort eventually goes away as they keep on doing that.
That's. Wow. I'm just kind of processing that because I'm thinking, what I'm trying to word this the right way. If you are someone who doesn't have the use of their legs by either amputation, just not they're not usable, whatever it is. Same thing with limbs. I'm wondering what that's like if you truly do embody a VR avatar that has the use of those. If that is, well, first of all, what that would make you feel if you'd have any phantom type sensations because of it. Once you hit that flow state of that avatar, if you start to believe that you had legs again, if you were an amputee, or maybe it goes the opposite way. Maybe it is so different to what your body knows is going on that it may actually break immersion and be discomfort. But my mind's going down the rabbit hole of wanting to pull on maybe a physiotherapist or someone who may have some type of data about that because that goes back to my comment about therapy. What happens if someone, like you brought up coping, is having a problem coping with that? VR, giving them the sensation of having limbs again, would be an extremely powerful situation that could radically change their mental health. And we all know our mental health has a direct correlation to our physical health and to our physical well-being. So that's really powerful. I'm really glad you brought that up. That is a fantastic point.
You're welcome. There's this other thing called mirror touch synesthesia, where it's a very rare condition. More, it's like a 1 in 10 million, I think,
Hmm.
where a person, mirror touch synesthesia is basically where a person they can still feel everything that they want to touch, they want to feel. But when they see someone that is doing something with their hands, or if they're touching someone else, or in some rare cases, even in pain or having a seizure, they're gonna start feeling the pain that the other person's feeling, which is in literal terms is literally empathy or sympathy. I don't know the correct word, but they can basically feel other people's feelings, which is really interesting. As normally you can't really feel what people feel. But question, Eric, real quick: have you ever
Yes.
seen someone get kicked in the balls?
I've seen it and been the recipient. Yes.
Ooh, yikes! But whenever you see someone getting kicked in the balls, you sort of get this like feeling like ow, or you like flinch, like oof, yikes, oof,
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
you go back to normal after a few seconds. That's kind of what mirror touch synesthesia patients feel, but on a more heightened level, as they can really feel that every single micro touch, every single sense that, oh my god, I'm feeling this. Whoa, what the heck? But yeah, it definitely extends to real life. Personally, I don't know anyone who has MRS or MTS, but I will definitely want to look more into that and try and find people who do have that syndrome, as that may help in found sense more with understanding and how it works, because
I
it's
think
very similar to that.
I think I can give you one example I might have on that. Maybe I might be misunderstanding. There is one thing I cannot
All right.
watch. It is literally painful. If it's in a movie, TV show, if this happens, I am looking away and I will leave the room. I cannot handle anything getting close to an eyeball. Um,
Oh
Needles,
yeah, same.
shots. If I see it, I will feel the pain in my eye. Will if it the same eye that gets hurt in like a what's the there's a really what's the movie called? It's a Japanese movie where a woman just tortures a man for 2 hours in her apartment. It's a gore fest. It's a hard movie to watch, and I can watch it all except for when she starts putting needles in this guy's eye. I look away. I know which eye she's about to touch. That eye on my body will start watering and become unusable. I have to close it, and I have to take a break. Yeah, anything with an eye messes me up. So please, let's not do that in VR chat. I can't handle that stuff.
No, I won't. I won't do that to you in VR chat. I promise. Nothing near the eyes.
No, that might. I'm not
That
sure if
that
that's a
that
good
is
example.
interesting, because I actually have that same sort of thing, but difference is it's with my chest or with my neck. I've watched I watch a lot of horror movies, Final Destination, Saw, and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And there's these scenes where people get stabbed, people get their neck sliced open, stuff like that. I can kind of feel a faint sensation on my neck or my chest, sometimes even tight, sometimes even very warm. As that's also something you can feel with phantom pain, like a warmth or a tightness around your chest wherever you've been experiencing pain. And I can kind of feel like for a few seconds, like, "Ow, no, 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 stop, 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 stop." I have to look away, just like what you said with, with your eyes. And I kind of have to calm myself down a bit. I'm not so sure about the implications of that, but I want to look into that more too, because I might, because I have been researching about it. I might start to call it the flinch effect, as most people who do that flinch. I haven't been I've tried to like find the actual scientific study of it. I'm sure there is one out there. Just haven't found it yet. But if I have found it, I will let everybody here know if you join the Discord.
When you're doing this let's say you started enacting some of these practices in your experience in VR chat, is that is it more if there was a spectrum of hypnotism when people are having these reactions to visceral items that we've just spoken about, what you don't like, eyes for me, some people fingernails, teeth, neck, choking. Is it hypnotism at that point, or is it more a primal fear that might be driving them to make those reactions? Because I don't know what the eye is with me, but I think it's a primal fear. I think I'm truly scared when I see things like that. I'm not sure if that is the same as hypnotism or it's just on a spectrum of the same thing.
I don't think that's very much hypnotism. The primal fear theory is really spot on. I feel like that's one of the major factors that goes into something like that. I cannot stand heights. Whenever I go into a height or like a very tall building in VR chat, I have to instantly back down or else I just freeze in place looking down. Wait, what was that one game called where, people fell down in real life?
Oh,
Like
Richie's
people who
Plank
never experienced VR
experience.
chat? Richie's Plank experience, yes. I tried that, installed it, played it for 5 minutes, and then instantly uninstalled and refunded because I could not stand the fact that I could actually feel me being so high up and actually, I'm pretty sure this is also related to Phantom sense. Feeling the breeze, as what you said earlier with your legs, and
Yes. Hmm.
the sense of discomfort inside my headset. I could not stand it at all. And worst thing is, that was one of my first VR experiences at Super Hot Rec Room. I deeply regret that. Please, if you're new to the VR, don't do Richie's Plank experience, please.
And I'll double down, please. Also, if you're showing people VR, don't touch them. Please stop touching them, especially when they're playing games like that. I cannot get more angry seeing videos of someone showing their friends VR and then touching them to scare them. You're doing that for you. You're not doing that for them. Let's just be honest, right? It's it bugs me to no end. Um, but Allison, for time's sake here, I think we're at our limit for today. I will give the floor one more time to you. Is there anything you want to tell to the chat before we go here?
Yeah, sure. Let me check real quick.
And chat, thank you for I have been following you. A lot of good discussion. I think a lot of people have had similar experiences. It just seems like anything related to embodying pain, displeasure, it's pretty universal. We all have a lot of empathy for other people, and we really can take their emotions. But it's all you, Allison.
Literal empathy.
Yes,
But yeah, maybe one more thing actually.
sure.
Hand tracking has a very prominent use because there was this one person that I've met before. He's in my VRML team. And he said that his dad, when they were first like trying out VR and such, when they were setting up the Guardian, they were using hand tracking to set up. And when his dad came very close to their Guardian boundary space, the dad started to feel the sense of like heat and warmth. Like, what the heck? Whoa, 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 whoa! Yo, hey, son! I'm feeling the sense of warmth. Can you try this out real quick? And then he adds it to the son, and the son is like, "Well, I can feel this too. What is this?" But then they just kind of brush it off as like sort of like a placebo effect and stuff like that. As they're still very new to VR,
Hmm.
very uninformed. So that's something that can definitely help. I've used hand tracking extensively especially with like things like hand physics lab, and I've seen the videos with the hand physics lab and the bones being broken into, being hit by crowbars and such. That makes that makes my arm feel things, man.
I have a theory. I don't think that's I don't want to mispronounce it. It's Cooner. Is it Denny or Dennis? I don't want to mispronounce it, but Dennis Cooner, I think it is. I think he's got a sixth sense of just messing with people because he's purposely doing this. The cheese
Oh yeah,
grater on the hand.
totally.
Do you
No,
remember?
no, no, totally.
I remember the cheese grater hand. I
No, no,
remember
no, 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 not the cheese grater on the hand. Not cheese, please. No, Eric, no,
the string
please.
cheese peel. Yeah, he does some gross stuff, and I love him for it. But
Oh
I think
God.
he's secretly just messing with us all because he does some gross stuff.
I mean, yeah, they're messing with us, but at the same time, if I've got my hands on stuff like that, and I've definitely broken an arm or two with hand tracking, and it feels more heightened than having these controllers, as hand tracking is weightless. Controllers still have this weight to them,
Hmm.
but eventually, as you get more and more immersed in VR, that weight slowly wears off. That weight just goes back into your subconsciousness, and like, I'm not wearing controllers. I don't think I'm wearing controllers, but I still have this control in me. Can manipulate my entire world around me. But with hand tracking, the buttons and the joystick and everything else, like the trigger and the grip, they get taken away from you,
Hmm.
and you have less ability to manipulate stuff as you only have your hands. And what hand tracking games do is that they give you a lot of options on, especially like things with UI and locomotion and such. They give you a lot of options to mess around with and make it so that you can still play these games with hand tracking. And especially on hand tracking, it's Phantom Pain, especially, and Phantom Sense. Those are the definitely the ones that I feel the most, or at least most people feel, because with Phantom Touch, like what I said before, Phantom Touch is when you're the one touching people or touching
Hmm.
objects. When you put your hand too close to a like a desk or stuff like that, usually your hand sometimes will stop tracking itself because of how new hand tracking still is with the Oculus cameras and stuff like that. I feel like if we get better tech with this, we can start to feel objects better and better just with our hands. As hand tracking becomes more prominent and more mainstream and more uh, affordable and better, as high frequency hand tracking has slowly started to roll out with 120 hertz hand tracking on the Quest.
Hmm.
And then we can go further with the 240 hertz tracking with something like Leap Motion. If we get that eventually to mainstream VR, eventually we can start feeling these sensations more and more as that tracking becomes very accurate as what full body and your headset to your controllers are tracking these. This is really accurate tracking, even as of now, as VR is still relatively young. Is it still young, Eric? I still consider it pretty young
I consider
in
it
my
I
standpoint.
consider it fledgling was a word I was going to use, but I feel like that's a negative word. Um, it's a baby. It's very young. It's an extreme
Maybe.
baby. I do. I think the Quest kind of restarted it, and I don't mean that negatively.
Mhm.
I just mean that I think it's restarted consumer VR, restarted the shift of where we were, and it is what it is. But I think we got 10 years, and it's going to be a whole new beast than we've ever seen. So that's why I keep telling everyone, if you're in virtual reality now, and if you got things that bug you about it, you got things that you aren't happy with, I hear you. Give it a decade. I know that's a long time, but buy into it now.
Yeah.
Become the expert that you can, and enjoy it. Um, enjoy the ride. It doesn't need to be Sword Art Online right now. Enjoy the ride as we get there. We learn and watch the users create insane stuff on that ride. Enjoy the ride. That's all I can say. It's gonna be bumpy, but it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be
Yeah, because
super
Eric, what we're doing here, like what us generation of VR users, what we're basically doing is what we're just testing everything out so that and fixing everything that we can fix, that so that the next generation doesn't have to go through these problems like what we're facing right now with locomotion and tracking and stuff like that, as
fun.
those are still very big concerns within VR. And as time goes on, eventually these problems will slowly start to cool down as we figure out more solutions to it. Like what JC said with his transhumanism stream with you.
Hmm. Hmm.
We he's the one he's the generation that will test all these bugs out, fix all of them so that the next generation doesn't have to. That's what this generation basically is in my eyes.
And hey, you're doing don't downplay your role in this. You're doing the same thing with everything you're doing.
Thank
Um,
you.
Allison, it has been a great time chatting with you. Definitely stick around after the stream so we can talk a little bit more. Everyone in the chat, thank you guys for stopping by. If you missed anything on this stream, I am going to be clipping it all and putting it on the second channel. That link will be in the video description. I'll throw it in the chat right now. Those are just easy to watch clips, really the highlights of everything. So if you missed this and wanted a smaller bit, that's it. Also, I'll be throwing in all of Allison's links into this video description and those clips. So you have the Discord links, the survey form as well. So those will all be there. Please give her some love and give her some info that she could desperately really needs in there. Allison, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a very fun night.
Absolutely. I'm gonna sign off, guys. As always, we'll see you next time, Space Cowboys. Peace.